Hello, it's Tom from Tom and Ruth Podcasting. I hope everybody's doing well today. I hope you don't hear too many of the roosters and the dogs barking and everything else. There's always a lot of that going on. Roosters and noise coming from the Philippines. Can you hear the roosters? Okay, today we're going to talk about good morning. It's rainy out there today. It's a rainy day today. It's probably, I looked earlier, it's about 82 degrees and rainy skies. I think there's a storm coming through. There's always a storm coming. You always got to be prepared for it. Excuse me. I cleared out my throat before I came on, and now the sun. How some expats end up broke in the Philippines. You know, it's kind of something that really happens to all of us, including me. This is a very, very, very good, important topic. What if you came here and you have $20,000? No, better than that. What if you came here and you had $30,000? If you came here with $10,000, it's not enough. If you came here with $15,000, is it enough? I don't know, but think about it this way. What if you wanted to buy something? What if you decided to rent all the time and you're not going to do anything but rent? I'm going to pay $400 a month and I'm getting $1,600 on my income. I'll be fine. I have $15,000 in the bank and I have a credit card. But I'm going to tell you some things that really makes you think, and this happens a lot. You don't think about that. Say you're in the States and you're saying to yourself, life's going okay, but you're lonely and you want to find someone, and you know there's a girl out there for you. And say you have just having a hard time finding someone, and you really have like $15,000, $20,000, and say, okay, I got that in the bank. I can retire early. I'll just go there and live inexpensively. I'll go there and live on, say, $1,000 a month. Can you do it on $1,000 a month? Sure you can. You can live on $1,000 a month here. Sure you can. But you come here, you're planning, and you aren't really sure what's going to happen. Did you really plan well? Or are you doing the best planning you could do? Say, for instance, you say, okay, I'm not going to sell everything, or I'm going to sell everything. And I'm going to come there with $15,000, $20,000. And I'm going to rent, because I'm not going to buy it, because $15,000 is not going to buy anything. If it does, there goes all your money. You don't have any more money. There's no more money, nothing to fall back on other than your income. And I'm going to get into this. This is really something that's really kind of, people don't think about. But say, for instance, you're here and you got that money and you rent an apartment and you get here and everything's fine. You have a girl or a girlfriend, maybe thinking about getting married. She may or may not want a baby. She may or may not want to be close with the family. She may want you to live next to the family. She may want a house. She may want land and property. You say, no, we're not buying land or property or anything. I only have this amount of money. We're on a budget. But say before that you send her money. Say before she's gotten used to getting money. Say you've been sending her $100, $500, $300, $200 a month. But when you get here, you put her on a budget. She's going to say, oh, I don't know about that. But you're going to really find out what kind of person she is. You're going to find out if she's really true blue. And so you kind of go on with that. And you kind of go on with the situation. You say, okay, everything's fine. I'll just tell her, you know, we're on a budget. I can't keep giving you money anymore. We're going to save money because I only have $15,000. Because see, what if something goes sour and you need to get back home? How are you going to scrape up $2,000 to go back home? And then when you go back home, how are you going to live? So you got to say to yourself, well, I need at least $5,000 of that 15 because I need to get a job, or I need to go back, find a place. I need an apartment. That's going to take $2,000. First, last security deposit. Oh, that's not enough to even get an apartment. Okay, I'll say 7 of that 15 I need to keep out and not touch it. Okay, so that leaves you $8,000 for yourself here in the Philippines. And say your plan, that $8,000's got to last you forever here. But say you do get married or find a girl, or you have a girlfriend, she wants to get married. Well, you got to have a wedding, right? And so okay, I'll spend a little of this, a little of that, a little of this. Somebody come, hey, I want to borrow, hey, can I borrow 20,000 pesos? It's only $400. Can I borrow 400? I want to get a motorcycle. Can I do that? Her family? So you're going to have that. Hey, can I borrow 10,000? And you think, oh yeah, it's okay. I got 10,000. I'll give it to you. Well, in order, if you give it out of your hands, it's gone. They're not going to pay you back. And do they pay you back? Sure, they'll pay you back. But if you set that up in the beginning, but you'll find you'll lose friends really fast here, because you're going to give them the money and they're not going to pay you back. Then you're going to be mad at them, and then it gets emotional. Money is emotional, no matter what. You spend money, people don't give you the service that you want. It gets emotional, right? So it's the same thing with people paying you back. So what do? So you say to yourself, well, okay, this is what I'll do. I'm only going to not give the family any money. I'll get married. I'll stay in this condo or an apartment. And that's fine, right? Say you're trucking along and everything is fine. Say you have a plan. You get something happens. You know you're going to go back. And you know you have a backup plan. Okay, so you're set. You have that 7,000. You're never going to touch it. And you know your Social Security is locked in. It's say anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500, $1,600. Let's just say that. Maybe have $2,000 in a bank, extra over there in U.S. just because. So you found a lady, you're getting married, and just before you get to moving in, you say to yourself, "Well, we need a new wash machine. We need this. We need that." So what happens? So you get into that situation where you're here, and she maybe wants a few more things, clothes. You got to buy her clothes. And if she gets pregnant, you got a baby, you got to pay for that. That could be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Say, for instance, you go the cheap route and say, okay, you do midwife. It's still going to cost you $1,000 because you got to buy the baby food, medication, watch for complications. Then doctors get involved. So it really creates a lot of things to make you think about. So that 15 grand is down to 8 because you kept 7 because of hard times. Because you need to keep 7. Because what happens is you're going to find out what really happens to your money. An example would be a gentleman came here and he had, $30,000, $40,000, end up broke, living on the streets. And how he did it was he found out 7 years later his wife was not really who she said she was. He went through all the money, and then she basically was a spender, and say, hey, 100 here, 100 there, 200 here, 200 there. In 6, 7, 8, 10 years, you go through that money really fast, and then there's no more money. She's gone. And it happens. How do you really know you're Filipina? You got to really get to know you're Filipina. Number one is don't move in with her immediately. Date her for a while. Get to know her. Even though you said you're going to move in with her, maybe you need to date her. How do you really know who the person is? So really, there's a lot of things to think about. So he's here in the States. You're here and you find yourself, you're keeping out, you're throwing money at her before. Maybe you're not throwing at her now. Or maybe you never threw at her before. Maybe you just said, okay, I'm just going to just give her a little at a time. And then when I get there, she still gets that little at a time. Because what happens is, if the lady wants to be with you, she's going to be with you. But some ladies are after the money. An example would be, you're here, you get married, you have a child, you have 2 children, and you're still living in a condo. Well, you outgrow the condo, so you got to think about something different. Maybe a bigger condo or a bigger house. Maybe get to thinking about building a house. But remember, you're still living on at 16. Hopefully, you're saving $300, $400, $500, $600 a month. Hopefully, but we all know how it is. Here's something's going to really eat you up. Hospital care has changed. The world has changed on hospital care. In order to get in the hospital now, you're going to need not only a credit card, but you got to have insurance. And that's going to cost you $200, $300, $400 a month, depending on what insurance policy you have. So that's $1,600, and you're living on $1,000, right? So you're dipping into $1,600. So how much you going to save? A couple $100 a month. Okay, so you can do that, and that's on top of the 8. Say you saved it for a year. Say you got $2,400 on top of that. That's not saying anybody got sick, or you need money, or you decided to buy a car, or you spent money on something else, or maybe you spent it on your teeth, and maybe she spent it on her teeth. And maybe you spend it on somebody else's teeth. Things happen that you don't expect. And what I'm saying is, if you come here with the 15,000, if you come here 20,000, in order to come here to the Philippines, you need more than 20,000. You need more than $15,000. I'm just saying. And a lot of people are going to get mad at me at this, but this is really a true story. You need 40, 50, 80, 100, 120, 150, $200,000 in the bank. So many Americans come here to the Philippines and they end up having, let's just say, 20 grand in the bank, 15 grand in the bank. That money goes really quick. It goes really quick because people will come ask you for money, and you say to yourself, okay, I'll give them a couple of dollars along. I will give them money to go get their teeth worked on. I'll go to the medical, help this mother, help the father that's sick, it's in the hospital, help the niece, help the nephew, maybe help your wife that's sick in the hospital. Maybe she gets typhoid or you get typhoid and you're sick in the hospital. And you find yourself that 15,000 just won't go very far, but still you have to have a nest egg. And that's one thing I always said, you got to have a nest egg that you can always dip into. Dip into that money where you can actually fly back to the States and set yourself back up again. Because what if everything goes sour here? I don't care if you've been married 10 years and you have what I have and everything else and goes sour. What are you going to do? You got to go back to the States, right? Or you stay here and just fight it out. Just go live in an apartment somewhere and just fight it out, and maybe you'll find someone else that really loves you and cares for you. But if you don't, what do, right? So you find yourself in a really unfamiliar territory, and you find yourself in saying, okay, what I'll do is this. Well, we are human nature. Our human nature is this. If we have money in the bank, and that money's there, we tend to spend it. We're spenders. Now, are we going to save the savings and not touch it? Sure, we can do that. Maybe it'd be a credit card. Maybe it'd be money that you've saved for. Maybe it's in a kitty. No matter, somewhere along the lines, the car's going to need to be repaired. It's going to break down on you. You're going to need $1,000 here, $1,000 there. You're just not going to have it. So you're dipping into it. What if you have 10 instances like that? The money's gone in 10 years. But what if something happens to you? Your wife's here. She has all the property. She has everything. And you need to repair something or take care of something here. How's she going to maintain herself? How is she going to have a life herself outside of you? Is she going to be able to go to the States? Is she going to be able to draw off your pension? No. So that's the thing you really have to think about. So how Americans go broke here is, or expats go broke here is when they come to the Philippines, they have this mindset. Oh, I have plenty of money. I have 20,000. Well, not really. 20,000 is not enough. Heck, I spent 20,000 on this. So how much money do you have? Well, I paid 10,000 for the house. I bought the lots. That's 4,000. That's 14,000, right? And then I built this house over here. That's another 3, 4, 5,000. Well, then I bought a car. That's another 2, 3, 4,000. And then before you know it, you're up to 30, right? To 20 plus, right? 23, 24. Then you go, okay, I just get married. That's another 1,000. That's 25. Then things happen in life in general. I want a fence up. That's another 1,000. So that's 26. So then you start adding paint and all the other stuff. That's 27,000. So is 30,000 enough? Is 40,000 enough? So guys come here and they get broke is because they find themselves in a bad situation, is because when that money is gone or it's dwindled down and they don't have enough money to get back to the States on. And that's what happens. When they drain all their accounts, hey, listen, I can't touch any of this. It's $2,000 left. I can't touch it. This is my escape fund money. Well, what happens? You find yourself dipping into it. So many guys come here, and that's exactly what happens. They find themselves dipping into that money, and then they say, woe was me. They have no house. They have no land. They have nowhere to go. They have no condo. They're getting their pension, but they're still on the street because the pension is they have to wait to get it, or they lost a passport, or the woman took all the stuff from him and he can't get out of the way of himself. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. I just had a guy just tell me that's exactly what happened to him. He got a lady, come here with 20 grand, spent the 20 grand in about 2 years. Money's gone. Where to go? He does not know. 10,000 to the brother-in-law, 2,000 for a motorcycle, 3,000 for a roof for mama's house, 3,000 peso for this, 2,000 peso for this. He said, for you know, he went through that 20 grand in 2 years, blink of an eye. And it's so easy to give out, but it's so hard to come back in. And say you're still getting 1,000, 15, 16, 17. Even if you're getting $2,000 a month, it's still a situation to where here now it's cost as much and more to live than it did years ago. You can live in U.S. the same amount because you're familiar with the territory. Here it's so easy. I went and bought a gallon of, not a gallon, a small box of milk, $2. Food, a little chicken this big today is $5. So you see that the trend, this, just go buy a shirt like this, $20. And it's used. If you can find it my size, that's the problem. It's just you have to really think more in detail on the money that you have. Hold on to it. Don't dip into that 2 to 5 to 7, 8 grand. Keep that off to the side because you'll go through that 20, 30, $40,000 so fast, it'll be gone before you blink. It's gone. It's gone. I'm telling you, it's gone. Oh, I need air conditioner. Air conditioner died. I got to buy a new air conditioner. Oh, that's only $400. That's okay. It's only $400. Oh, new fridge. I got a new fridge died. It's only $400. I'll buy another. That's $800. It's okay. But before you do it, you add it up in 10 months, 12 months. You already spent 10 grand. You really have. It just goes. So when you come here to the Philippines, I'm just telling the guys that comes here to the Philippines, if you really want to think about it, if you really, really want to put a number on it, and you really want to say this, you need a minimum. A lot of guys come here broke. Every man has a story. It's a prime example. He said, I came here broke, but now I'm fine. If you come here broke, be prepared to remember have an escape plan where you can go out of the country and get out of the country and get back established where you were at and say, well, I can't because I can't go back in Binghamton. I can't go back to New York City. It's 10 grand to even get started to find a place. Well, go in the southern states where you can find something for $500, $600 a month. I rented a house $300 a month for years. In fact, there's houses right there. I looked at 2 last night, 2-bedroom nice houses for $400 and change a month. You can easily find the stuff that you want to find. You just have to take the time to go find the stuff. But I've seen so many expats come to the Philippines, and they have a mindset, okay, I'm just coming here to find a Filipina, and it's no worries. I got 20 US dollars, 20 grand US dollars in the bank, or 30, 40, 50,000 in the bank. I'll be fine. I'm going to retire early. So they retire early, and they find themselves, good morning, Angie. And you find yourself in that situation where you are here and it's easy to spend the money because you think it's 50 peso to the dollar. Well, if something costs you 250 peso, which normally it does, it's $5. Well, $5 chicken here is about the size of a bird, small bird, very small bird, where chicken in U.S. is 5 times the size for $5 or 6 times the size for $5. A haircut is cheap. Things like haircut and clothes, some of the occasional clothes, dental, eye care is cheap, but everything else is just as it is anywhere else. Rent is cheap considering, but still anything else that you do, groceries are just as expensive here as it is anywhere else in the world. And so I think a lot of times people have this mindset that when they come to the Philippines, they want to have this atmosphere. I'm just going there to find a lady. I don't really care about it. I'm in the Western culture. I'm tired of the ladies treating me whatever. I'm tired of this and whatever, and I come here. Well, they may find the lady it's young and attractive and cute and everything else, but you really need to not necessarily just immediately go with her. Date her, find out exactly who she is. I don't care if you're talking online with her for 3 years. Date her and find out exactly who she is, because once you get married and once you do things, once you do tasks and that money is gone, will the family help you along or will things help you along? So many guys come here with 30, 40, 50, $80,000 and it's gone in a year or 2 years, and they say, what happened to my money? I've easily spent $60,000 here. Easily spent $60,000 here. And I know that I have an exit plan. And I know that if something ever happened, God forbid, I mean, something could happen in the country and say every foreigner leave. Well, in that case, I'd have to go. So what would I do, right? So I'd have to have an escape plan. I need at least 2,000-3,000 for an airline ticket. I need at least incidentals, whatever that is, to say $500. And then once I get to the States, well, I got to buy a car again or rent a car, right? Then I got to find a place to stay. So that means I'd have to buy me a house or rent a car or rent a condo, stay in a motel somewhere somewhere find some type of means. Well, how much is that? It's $3, $4, $5, $6,000 there. And you can't afford to buy a car, so you need to go somewhere where you can take the bus, things like that. So say you're out, not in the city, say you're out in what we call the province, out in rural, and you'll find yourself fighting for the dollars, meaning try to find yourself a place to stay. And so it creates a lot of troubles for a lot of guys here. They find themselves in dire straits, living on the street. There are many Americans living on the streets here, more so than people think there is. People don't realize that the things have changed this last few years because of the COVID, but there are many expats. The reason I know this, I just recently received an email of an expat living in Cebu that needs help financially. I told them to reach out to the embassy, that they will get them a ticket home, which they will. I've helped people get tickets on the way home back to the U.S., and they will. You have to pay them back. Nothing's free. And once you get to the States, you have to have a family member or somebody sign for you for the ticket. Or if you can't do that, you have to work it out with the government. But they'll get you back to the States one way or another. We don't realize that so many people do come here and they really find themselves in situations that they can't get out of, and either the girl is taking advantage of them, the girl has kicked them out, kicked them off the property, because there's no divorce here. And not only that, she's kicked them off the property because she owns the land. No matter what land that a man purchases, make sure you put the house in your name. If you buy a house, put it in your name, and then that way, if something ever happens and it goes to trial, you get the house, whatever the house money's worth. And whatever the house is worth, most of the time, the house is worth a lot more than the land, because the land value itself is really nil to none, unless it's farmland. So you'll find yourself in a better situation there. But what happens, make sure your name is on the deed of the title for the house and the land, because you can put your name on the land. Does not mean that you own it, but you have to sign for it when she sells it. So that would be the smartest thing to do. We sometimes, and the reason I'm doing this story is that many expats come here and they have this kind of colored glasses, rose-colored glasses on. They're not really seeing the picture. They just want to get out of the States. They want to get out of the environment they're in, and they come in here to the Philippines, just jumping on a plane and coming here, and they find themselves without enough money to survive on. I don't care if you're getting $1,600 a month. You still can blow through that $1,600 a month very easily. Here's an example. There's three of us here in this house. I pay electricity bill. I pay $100, $150 to $170 a month for electricity. That's a lot of money. I pay groceries. I pay about $300 a month for groceries. Right there, if you add those two up, it's $450, $470 right there, or maybe $500. Just those two items. That's not counting insurance. That's not counting the internet. That's not counting any other health care. That's not counting anything else that you do, because you're going to have, sometimes you have water bill, you have other bills that come along. And maybe you have a credit card bill yourself that you need to pay. Or maybe it's just utang that you have here, credit that you have here you need to pay. But there's, because you can get away with living under $1,000 here, but you have to be really smart about it. You have to sort of live like Filipino. Eat rice every meal, not go out to eat. There's a lot of things you have to do to be able to live on $1,000 a month. Me, I eat whatever I want when I want it, if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll pay for it. If I see pizza that looks good to me, which it's not, any pizza here is not really that good, because they really don't have a lot of the, they don't have true mozzarella cheese or cheddar cheese, or they have pepperoni, but that's about it. They don't have bell peppers, and right now there's not a yellow or white onion where I live, within 100 miles of here. They haven't been now for months and months. Apparently there's a shortage on onions and many other vegetables that we're trying to struggle to find. So you can start seeing the shortages coming this way on some of that stuff. I told Ruth, go get some sweet potatoes today. We'll make sweet potatoes and some other things. But, that's about living like Filipino to be able to survive. I want to thank everybody for always coming on my streams, and thank you so much for coming on today's live chat. And thank you Tashiba and Angel coming on today, and thanks so much for spending your valuable time. And I've been on here now, I don't know. God bless everybody, and I'll see you guys next time on Tom and Ruth Podcast.